Welcome, dreamers and adventurers, to Castles to Cauldrons, the podcast where we journey from magical castles to wizarding cauldrons and beyond. Join Jason, Rachel, Terry, and Micah, and together they'll be your travel guides through the enchanting worlds of Disney, Universal, and all your favorite travel destinations. Whether you're daydreaming of fairy tale castles, spellbinding theme parks, or just looking for your next adventure, they're here to sprinkle a bit of pixie dust on your travel plans. As knowledgeable travel agents, they're here to help answer questions, recommend, and navigate planning your dream trips. So grab your wand, pack your bags, and get ready to explore with us as they uncover hidden gems, share insider tips, and dive into the wonders of travel. It's time to turn your wanderlust into reality and let the adventure begin. Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, where every journey starts with a little bit of magic.
Well, welcome. This is episode 2 of Castles to Cauldrons. I am your host, Jason Davis, and I have my co-host here, Rachel, Terry, and Micah, with a special guest of Allison. Today, we're going to be talking about D23 thoughts, but first, let's hear a little bit about Allison. So, Allison, can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Allison Hobbs. I have been with Magical Travel now for over 3 years. I live in North Carolina, and I am just so excited about this podcast getting started. So I'm so happy to be on today's show, talk about the D23 announcements and, the lightning lanes and everything Disney. Hopefully y'all will have me on more than once. I'll try to impress y'all today.
Welcome to the podcast, Allison.
Thank you.
Yeah. So D23, what did we think overall on the announcements that we got when it came to the theme parks? And is this, when it comes to Walt Disney World specific stuff, is this going to be something that really answers Epic Universe in a positive way?
I think that there's some really good announcements that came out of D23. I think there's some that are just kind of like kind of exciting. We also got stuff that we already knew about. I don't think that answered anything with Epic Universe because we already kind of knew those things were coming. I do think there's some good things, but it's not to the scale that Epic Universe is. So not being able to, hype up something like, How to Train Your Dragon or, a new Harry Potter land or even, Dark Universe being there. So, I'll be excited to see everything that actually, happens at Disney World and to answer Epic Universe, but I just don't know. I'm kind of excited to see where we go with it, but I just don't think it was as big of announcements as I was hoping for to answer an entire theme park that Universal's building.
Kind of agree. I think they made a quantity of announcements to kind of answer to Universal. So they put a lot of stuff out there, but like you said, to like to the scale and to the detail that Universal had, I just didn't feel like it was there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they had quantity, but the quality might be lacking in that. I don't think that it fully answers Epic, where they're going to get, a lot of customers and business down there. I think that they're trying to, but I don't think that it's not going to be one for one. But I am excited about some of these changes if they do come to fruition. So yeah. I think it'll be good things that are added to the Disney parks.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the announcements, but even though they said they aren't blue sky announcements and they are going to happen, I think just knowing that the timeline for some of the most anticipated from the announcements are going to be 3-4 years down the road, it's just a little hard to get that excited about them, especially knowing, Universal does have that new park opening up in now what will be within a year. So
it's almost like they're answering a little too late. Like Epic's been in the works pre-COVID, and like now this is now this is their response. 4 or 5 years later.
Well, and part of their response doesn't even have timelines on when things are going to start, like of when ground is going to be broken or anything like that. So some of these announcements don't even have a start date for when we can think that this stuff's going to start happening in the parks. Some do, but some don't.
I think Josh did say that all this is supposed to be within works in the next 5 years. Some of it's supposed to be completed within 5 years, which was anybody surprised they didn't announce a fifth gate or a fifth park?
I'm not surprised because I'm not even sure I can't even imagine what Disney's fifth gate would be. I can't picture it. And so I think I would be completely blown away by an announcement just because I'm not even sure what to expect for a fifth gate.
Yeah, I have to agree with Allison. I can't even imagine what type of land or like that would encompass all of those other lands would be, or the theming of it. I don't know.
Do you think that like they were going to announce the whole like Midland land to be its own thing instead of having it dock onto a existing park? Is that kind of what you were thinking? Maybe they could build that up.
I wasn't expecting a park.
No.
I think they have enough land. You look at places like Hollywood Studios that has so few attractions.
Mhm.
They need to just add to what they already have, all
Yeah.
those expansion plots they have. So I think they're going in the right direction.
I think it's easier too to add to the existings than it would be to build an entire park with all of the workings of it and all of the rides and attractions and places. So I think they can get those other things out faster by just adding to the existing park.
And like the revamping of Dinosaur Land and all that, and Animal Kingdom, in my personal opinion, I feel like that was necessary. Like that's a big chunk of land that needed to be updated. And like you said, instead of trying to start an entire new park and the infrastructure that goes into that, it makes a lot more sense just to wipe out something that's outdated and put something new and exciting in there.
Yeah. So let's kind of run over some of this stuff then. So some of the quick mentions, Zootopia is going to take over Bug's Life in the Tree of Life show. It's better than getting a land.
I liked It's a Bug's Life. Like that
So-
was
No.
nostalgic.
Me too.
No.
Oh, what, you didn't like
Yeah.
getting hit in the back with the bug?
No,
I
it
was
scared
very
my
PG.
son so much. It's so scary, that show. Hopefully now it'll
It's
just
not
be like fun and cute.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it.
As Terry was talking about, Dino Land USA is fixing to go completely away. They're bringing in an Indiana Jones ride that's going to be completely different from Disneyland, which I think is a positive.
Yeah.
They're going to put a carousel in and an Encanto ride, and that's all going to be themed to the tropical Americas. I'm excited for it. I'm really happy that they're not copy and pasting for the whole thing. Like they could have easily
Yeah.
said, "Hey, Indiana Jones, you have it in Disneyland. We're going to bring it here." I think that was something that Chapek did a lot of, which was, Galaxy's Edge here in
Mhm.
Florida, out in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And he would try to get it at Paris, Pandora in Paris, and in Orlando. So seeing that we're getting unique experiences to bring people to our parks is a great thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
What do you think
I'm-
about that carousel in relation to the one that they have planned at Epic Universe? It's supposed to have like the floating animal, or magical animals and multi-tiered and everything. So how do you think this carousel is going to, compare to that one?
From what they said, this one's supposed to be themed to Disney animals.
Mhm.
So
Like
yeah.
a wood carver, like carved out the animal. So I think it's supposed to be more of like that type of theme when they were announcing that one. I think an Encanto ride will be really fun at Animal Kingdom. And I think that movie was such a hit. I know when it came out, my son watched it every single day for 6
Yeah.
weeks.
It was
And
good.
it's a cute one. And I think everybody's really wanted that. I love that they're doing that because to me, Dino Land almost felt slightly disconnected in Animal Kingdom when you have like Africa and Asia, and now
I agree.
they're doing that
It was
same
chunked
theme
in
of,
there.
yeah, that tropical. Well, because part of Animal Kingdom got scrapped. They were supposed to do like a whole thing about like mythical creatures and like extinct animals, but then money happens and they had to cut things. So then it just didn't feel as connected as the other stuff. And now it being called Tropical Americas, it makes more sense because now you're going into a region and my guess is they're probably going to bring in animals from that region too, probably put in enclosures because that would make sense, just like they have in Asia and Africa, to kind of have animals from that area. So kind of extend that animal conservation and stuff part of Animal Kingdom as well.
I am one of the Disney enthusiasts though who love Dinosaur. It probably is in my top 3 rides. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna miss Dinosaur a whole lot. I hope that I love the Indiana Jones ride just as much. But I think the other part that I'm sad about seeing from the concept photos is that the Boneyard Playground is going away. And
Yeah,
we
my
visit
kids
that
loved
every
that.
single time. I mean, Lily loves to just go to Animal Kingdom just for that playground. And I love it when the parks do have something for toddlers and just young kids to get that energy out, because sometimes they don't understand the excitement of a ride because all they see is the line they have to get in beforehand. And sometimes they just want to walk into some place and run around and slide for a little bit. And I hate that we're losing it. Or
Yeah.
at least it seems that we are losing the playground.
I think they'll be stupid not to put something comparable in that area.
I
'cause
agree.
Right.
That was
Yeah, like
feels
Michael was
we-
saying, like the
Always
carved animals, it would seem like it would be very easy to
Yeah.
put a playground there with carved animals that they could ride and climb on, like the tree, even have like a little splash pad or mister part if they wanted to, since it's tropical. I mean,
Well, at first I thought they would really keep it because it'd be easy to tie into Indiana Jones. Like I thought that would have
Yeah.
been the easier transition
actually too.
Mhm.
to really be able to leave most of it and just kind of rename it, retheme it slightly. So
which they
Well,
still
let's
keep
could.
our
It's right there between Restaurantosaurus and Dinosaur, right? I mean, I don't go. I've never been to the Boneyard.
It's on the left. Like as you walk into Dinoland USA, it's on
Yeah,
the
it's on
left
the left.
going
Okay.
towards Dinosaur. Let's keep our fingers crossed that they just retheme it and it's there, because again, my son's the same way, absolutely loves it. And it's one of those places you can just turn your kid loose because there's
Yeah.
only one way in and out, and
Yep.
you can just sit there and watch them play and not worry about them.
Running out with the rest of Walt Disney World stuff that's smaller. We get the test track reimagining in 2025. There's really no information on what it's going to be. They've alluded to World of Motion type stuff. The Millennium Falcon's getting a second show that's going to feature the Mando and Grogu from The Mandalorian. So I'm excited for it.
So is this going to be like Star Tours where you don't know which one you're getting? Like where you just go in and you don't know what your storyline is going to be? Or are they just changing it to be Mandalorian themed now?
I think it's going to be like what they do with Star Tours later. Like when they bring in a new show for Star Tours, they put it in like you're always going to get this mission.
Right.
And then eventually it'll start swapping back and forth and you don't know which one you're going to go into. It'll be my
Okay.
luck. I always get the solo one after that.
Yeah.
So hopping coast over to Disneyland, they will be getting, they're actually opening Tiana's on November 15th. And then we have the Avengers Infinity Defense Ride, which is their e-ticket ride in Avengers Campus that's been rumored since they opened it. That's going to take place behind the store that's currently there and the Avengers headquarters. And it will get a second ride with it, which is a Kuka Arm. I don't remember what they named it. Start Flight Lab. Yeah, it's going to be 4 rides for Avengers Campus at the end of the day when they get them all in.
And that is my favorite place to be in California Adventure. When we went, we sat there just watching all the different characters go by and the different shows. So having more stuff added in, I think will be really good.
For big announcements, they surprised us with 4 new cruise ships for DCL.
I'm excited.
That brings it up to 13 ships. I'm no expert on cruise lines, so like Royal Caribbean, how many ships do they roughly run?
Oh,
Over
28, 30, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
a lot.
like it's still a lot, but this is bringing them more into competition with them on
Yeah.
like, hey, we're selling out of all these places.
Yeah. I'm excited to give clients more options. You're going to have more itineraries. There's going to be more inventory available. So if I can't get someone, if it's at a price for this sailing, I can get them on another sailing. I think the fact that they keep the ship classes the same, like they have sister ships, makes it easier for people to know the ship and to know what they're expecting. So I do like that they keep the classes similar. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having extra inventory and extra itineraries.
I
So-
think it'll be, like you said, easier to get people booked in, but also as the newer ships come out, those older ships may not cost as much to get on. So we might be able to introduce a lot more people to
Right.
Disney Cruise Line that maybe couldn't afford it or it wasn't in their price point before. And now it might be able to be that way with these new ships coming out. Of course, they'll cost more because they're going to be nicer, newer ships than the older ones. So we might be able to, like, there might be people who are like, I just can't do Disney Cruise Line because it's just out of my price range. But maybe now it might kind of ease into that price range just a little bit more.
It'll probably still be a
Yeah,
lot.
Well,
It'll
I'm
still be a
excited to
lot.
see
Yeah.
the different itineraries.
Yeah.
I
Like
was
if
just
they're going to
wondering,
expand.
will they need some more port space? Like now, with the new itineraries, are they going to add a whole new city, to their port list? Or are they just going to need to add a whole new dock to an existing port? Or
Will these be a new class? Like the Wish is a Triton class, right? That's the name of it. So will we get a new class of ships out
The
of
Wish
this?
and the Treasure.
Yeah, Wish, Treasure, and Destiny. They're all
Yeah.
Tritons. So you think this is going to be a Triton as well?
I don't know.
I know they didn't give us much information.
No.
Yeah. I think it depends on what port of calls are going to go to. The itineraries, like, are they going to put more in Europe? Are they going to have more out of New York? Because they stopped doing New York for a while. Are we going to get another New
California?
York?
Yeah,
Are they going to put
Galveston
one in
Yeah.
Australia? Because I know a lot of cruise lines are trying to have ships in Australia a lot, trying to do those itineraries.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean, I'm excited to see it. I've only done 2 Disney cruises, but I love them. So let's hop over to Disneyland. So Pandora, they're getting a Pandora in Disneyland. They said this is gonna be based off of the latest movie, which is A Way of Water, and the next movie, which is Fire and Ash. I like the new movies. Like I didn't like the first one.
Right.
But I like the
Way of
land.
Water was really good. We went and
Yes.
saw that one in the theater. It was a really good movie. And I think it'll be cool to see how they bring that to life for us to see in person. Because, Pandora in Animal Kingdom is beautiful. I just wish we were able to go at night and actually see it with the bioluminescent and see how pretty it is.
I've been in there after closing, and it is a whole different experience.
I'm just glad it's not going to be a carbon copy again. Anytime that we can get something new, even if it's from the same movie, IP, just having something new is still exciting.
It gives the fan base like Rachel that loves Avatar to go from Animal Kingdom to Disneyland to see both sides of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say that it gives someone a reason to switch coasts.
Yeah.
Like I've done it in the world. Let me go to land and see what that says. It's like almost like Haunted Mansion. When I was in California and they had it decked out with A Nightmare Before Christmas. Like I'm never going to get that in Walt Disney World. Like that, and then It's a Small World, completely different ride in Disneyland than it is in Disney World.
Yeah.
So no, I like the fact that we're getting a variation of the ride.
I'll put it on record saying I think this is going to be part of Disneyland Forward. There's no timeline for when they're going to break ground or anything like that. I think this is going to be part of their staple for opening that new part of Disney California Adventure. DCA is also getting a Coco ride. It's been rumored for the Mexico Pavilion since Coco came out. So I think there's a lot of Disney World enthusiasts that are kind of mad that they're not getting it.
I'm one of those people. It really should be in the Mexico Pavilion, I think. Like, it makes sense. They already have so much Coco stuff like in there that it would be an easy switch over to just go in and change all those scenes and make it part of the movie Coco. But I'm excited that they're getting a ride. I think it's a super cute movie and we love that movie. But I do think they could have picked a different movie to make a ride for Disney's California Adventure and then just put that one at Epcot.
I'm an Epcot purist. I just want it to stay IP free back there in the different countries. Let's go to Walt Disney World then. So in 2025, we're getting a nighttime parade in Magic Kingdom that's going to be called Disney Starlight. My weakness in Disney has always been the nighttime parades. I flew out to Disneyland to see the last Main Street Electrical Parade. I've gone to Disneyland just to see Paint the Night a couple of times. So to have a nighttime parade, I think Walt Disney World and Magic Kingdom has really missed out on having that for 5-6 years now.
Well, I was just thinking because people sometimes you can't wait until the fireworks, or people aren't staying that late, and having something that now will surely take place an hour or so before the fireworks, it just will help just extend that nighttime entertainment. Bring it a little bit earlier, and then people can choose which ones they're participating in. Maybe lower the crowds for both, with having 2 nighttime shows to take a break out of your night for. And I'm just excited because it still feels like something really new, because I can only think of parades that I've been to at parties for the nighttime, if I'm correct. I can't think of a nighttime.
You can't think of Main Street Electrical Parade?
Or Spectrum.
You never saw that?
So good.
Not at Disney World.
Oh, one of my best memories is hopped. I like invited myself with my parents and my kids to Disney World. You know, that was stay-at-home mom days. And my dad stayed back at the hotel, and me and my mom were just like, we're gonna take the kids over to Magic Kingdom. We just winged it. It wasn't even planned. We went over there. We sat, you know, where they roped it off. We got them the bubble wands, and my kids, I think, were like 2 and 4 at the time. And it was just such a great night with my mom and my kids. And I just have that memory of just them seeing all the different, you know, lights and the, what was it, the little like the ladybugs,
Mm.
the ladybugs that lit up. Like I just loved it. Oh, and then the smoking caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. I'm looking forward to a nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom.
They announced Disneyland's 70th for it. They just said, hey, we're having the 70th anniversary next year. I'm like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, then they went in right into other announcements.
Yeah,
And
they
like,
went
oh,
into
wait.
yeah, they went into this announcement, I think, right after
Yeah.
that. And it's like,
Mhm.
you're not going to at least tease a nighttime parade for Disneyland. You're not going to tease your fireworks show or anything like that. It's just, hey, we're doing 70th, but Disneyland or Disney World, you're getting Starlight. Okay. So Hollywood Studios, they announced, is getting a Monsters Inc. land. It's going to have Disney's first ever suspended coaster, and construction is set to begin next year. What are we thinking?
It's definitely going in Animation Courtyard. I'll mark my words now. It is not taking over Muppets.
I think it's gonna go.
So this is an old announcement. I think it was 20 years ago. It kind of got leaked that they were going to build this, and it was going to be in one of the sound stages that's now Toy Story's third track. They will have to build a new area for this.
Mhm.
And if the people listening haven't heard, the two options are Muppets Courtyard and the Animation Courtyard. That's the big debate of where it could be.
So a cast member apparently has come out and said that his office is an Animation Courtyard, and there are already plans to move all of those offices. So that's why I think now there's been a little bit of a shift since someone's kind of come out and said that people are really leaning towards that side of the park.
I'm excited for it. I think it'll be fun, and it fits into Hollywood Studios.
Oh, yeah, I think
it fits into that Pixar area.
Yeah.
It's a nice flow if you do it over there. I don't know, like Muppets I kind of get because I'm not the biggest Muppet person either, but I do enjoy the show. So
It was nice having you
a
on,
lot
Terry.
of that's wasted space. What do you say?
It was nice having you on.
They're funny. I don't know. The Muppets escape me sometimes, but it would seem more disjointed, I feel like, on that side, because it's like Star Wars and everything. I don't know. This side of the area.
I'm on the side of it's going to animation. If
Yeah.
there's one thing they're going to take care of, there's enough room backstage where they can keep Little Mermaid going, and even Disney Junior Live if they wanted to, and push everything back and build it. There's just not, to me, it doesn't seem like there's enough room where Star Tours and Muppets is to build everything and keep it kind of coherent.
Mhm.
If you wanted to get rid of Star Tours and Indiana Jones, I think that would work.
Right.
But once again, I'm with Terry. It's Pixar over there. It feels like it would fit there a little bit better. And you even have the cars back in the back, so you could link Toy Story, Monsters, and Lightning McQueen Racing Academy. So it's all one big loop on the outside.
Yeah, there's been talk that definitely if it could go there would be options to add another entrance. Like it wouldn't have to come off of that, hub right there in front of the Chinese theater. It could really even come off of Sunset somewhere too, to kind of help make some crowds move around better.
The other thing with Muppets for me is that it's Jim Henson's last movie. So I think pulling that out of Disney is pretty much like saying, hey, we're going to get rid of Walt Disney's It's a Small World or something like that. Pirates, one of his lasting legacies. And Jim, one of his big quotes was he always thought of the Muppets being part of the Disney parks. So pulling it just doesn't sit right with me, I guess. And it doesn't sit right with a lot of fans out there. I'm not going to complain, because one of the biggest complaints about Walt Disney World is that all the fans think of it as a museum, and they're not willing to give up the older attractions like people at Universal are. So if you're going to pull Muppets. I will not, protest, but I will feel bad. Just make the Muppet Vision movie available on Disney Plus for me, so I can watch it whenever. One thing we didn't mention, speaking of Walt, they are adding a Walt animatronic to Disneyland in the Lincoln show. So it's gonna be 2 shows in the Lincoln
in the Main Street Theater.
Yeah, Main Street Theater.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's gonna be in online for the 70th. That's a lot of debate going on too. Does Walt deserve an animatronic? Yes, he does. He invented the things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty legit.
Yeah. No one asked Abraham Lincoln's family if Walt had permission to build a robot of him. So I'm excited. I think that's a good thing. So now to the final big announcement is
Drum roll, please.
Magic Kingdom is going to get rid of Tom Sawyer's Island and Rivers of America to make way for Cars. So thoughts?
Well, first they have to get past my body chained to the Liberty Bell. So
I think they'll make you the anchor. Just like, here you go, throw you in the water.
Gosh.
I hate losing any type of water element inside a big theme park where it can already feel so hot and just the concrete and buildings everywhere. So although I really never rode the Liberty Bell and I think I've been to Tom Sawyer Island once, oh my goodness, we are going to miss an amazing view.
Mm-hmm.
That everyone has pictures of. And I just hope in some way they can at least leave a very aesthetic, scenery within the Cars land, maybe even incorporating some water just to help keep it very visually beautiful back there and not maybe too monotonous with just canyons and roller coasters.
Brown. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's something that should have been an addition to Hollywood Studios as well, since they already have the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy and it's Pixar. Like it kind of fit better into a Hollywood Studios. Like if they would have had room to make additions that way and make Hollywood Studios bigger and have more rides versus like Magic Kingdom, who already has a lot of rides and Hollywood Studios has less rides, that it just made more sense in my mind for that to be like a Hollywood Studios edition versus a Magic Kingdom edition in Frontierland.
Those are all great points that Disney doesn't care about.
Right.
It does feel like all the Pixar stuff belongs in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to think if any Pixar stuff is in Magic Kingdom that I'm overthinking. I don't know, but
Buzz
yeah.
is the only thing.
It's
Merida,
so weird
when she
that
had her meet and greet, but then they kind of don't have that
Yeah.
spot for Merida anymore.
Yeah, she's in a corner now.
And they have the Monsters Inc. lab floor, so I guess
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. But I don't associate those as much with Pixar. I don't know. Those are fun. I love them. They're my favorites.
I kind of think that Tomorrowland's getting gypped on the whole thing when it comes to the end of because you have Stitch's Great Escapes, old buildings that's just sitting there. Monsters could theoretically be moved into Monstropolis and be completely updated. Buzz Lightyear needs help. Could you get rid of it? Yes. Travis loves it, so I won't get rid of it. I think Disneyland's is better than ours. But then you could keep Space Mountain, Tron, and the Speedway for right now. I guess it's Tomorrowland.
And the People Mover.
Yeah, I can't get rid of that.
Mover.
That is something I will chain myself to. Like, I'll just keep riding it and be like, you ain't taking this down. Like, not today.
And they'll just take you off of the track in the car.
I
I agree with you. Though.
I would miss that.
I love the People Mover, but the land that needed more help in these announcements was Tomorrowland more so than Frontierland. And they completely gypped Tomorrowland. I did read a tweet from somebody, I think it was an Imagineer, saying Cars Land moving over to Frontierland opens up the possibility to get rid of the Speedway, and that's valuable real estate, and they could do something there instead of the smells. So it kind of makes sense. They're not one for one, but they're still a car attraction where you're getting into a car and riding in it. So finally, they did announce they're getting a Villains Land. Nothing really has been said. Cars Land, you're getting 2 attractions, some food, and some shopping. Villains Land will also have 2 major attractions, some shopping and some dining. There's no start date for this one. Cars Land, I forgot to mention, will start construction next year. So go ahead and get your chain ready, Allison, for their building.
Do we know where Villain's Land is going to be?
This is supposed to be beyond Big Thunder Mountain. So it's
Okay.
going to be, from my understanding, behind Thunder and behind Haunted. So it will
Oh.
bring that loop around.
So they're filling up that side of the park with this Cars Land being right there, and then the Villain Land part kind of being behind that.
Got it.
Any excitement for Villains?
If
Yeah,
it
I'm
happens,
excited.
I'm excited. Yeah, I think it
Oh.
will be really fun because if you look at the concept art, it looks like there's going to be another roller coaster. If you look, it looks like there's tracks in multiple locations, and it looks like Maleficent's dragon is supposed to be in there. I think it'll be really fun to kind of bring that in, like the darker side of the fairy tales and stuff from what they were saying. I really want it to happen, and I want it to be there because that's what I'm probably most excited for out of the announcements was the Villain Land.
I can be
I-
with you on that.
I like it because you figure you have the Villain's Lair, which is the DVC lounge, on top of the Contemporary Resort. That's always packed and hard to get into. I just think it'll tie nicely in with that. I'm excited for it. I love the villains. I think they're underrated, and I think there's that niche of fans that just love a good villain,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I think
I
this
think
is a little bit of their way of having a response to Epic Universe with their Dark Universe, and now they're going to have their Villain Land. So something
That's what I thought too.
similar to that, and maybe they're waiting to see how much people really like the Dark Universe part before they decide when construction is going to start.
Well, I think the villain lore is really fun. Like you said, who doesn't? I mean, Maleficent, she's bad, but she's a villain you kind of love. She's beautiful, you love to hate her. And Cruella and Ursula, and
Now
I
that
think if
they're
they do
coming
it back
out
in the park and make it spooky, ooky kind of, in contrast to the happy, you look at a fairy tale and the castle's up front, but the witch's castle's always in the back and it's on a hill and it's dark. I think they could play off of that, and like with the Descendants movies where they kind of humanize the villains so they're not so scared. Because I've heard a lot of discourse about villains don't belong in Magic Kingdom because that's where the kids go and supposed. But I think if you humanize them, and they're not spooky, they're not universal villains. These aren't things that Disney's not gonna traumatize children, hopefully. So I think it's a necessary, I feel like, update to kind of update the whole Disney vibe to not just rainbow butterflies kind of situation.
I do have one unpopular opinion though, that at some point we've got to stop adding though to Magic Kingdom. It's already got the most rides of any of the parks. It's easily already can be spent 2 days, in the park.
Yeah.
And although, that can still be enjoyable, I just don't want to get so big that people don't even start to venture out to the other parks because Magic Kingdom starts taking up 75% of the time that they have trying to get everything done. Like, I feel like it's just this balloon that's about to pop. And at some point, we're going to have to start taking these ideas and maybe saving them for a fifth gate, like trying to develop what that looks like so that it just can help really spread out the crowds rather than just packing more people into what is already such a crowded park.
Right. No, I agree.
Good point.
I mean,
That's a very
that's why
good
I
point.
said, like with Cars Land, I felt like that would have been so much better at Hollywood Studios because Magic
Yeah.
Kingdom is already so full, and has so
Yeah.
much stuff that it just made more sense. But, because you think about adding these 2 new lands, 4 new big rides that they're supposed to be bringing, or 3 new big rides and 1 smaller, like family ride in the Cars area, how much more crowded, like, parades are going to be, or the fireworks at night, or the new nighttime parade. Like, you already can barely find room for that stuff.
Yeah.
And so now it's going to make it probably, even harder, or it might make things like, I don't know, the dessert parties sell even more so that you have designated areas to, watch the fireworks from.
Knowing the history that Disney has of taking stuff off the table when it comes to these announcements, we look at the Play Pavilion, the festival center that was announced for Epcot, the Spaceship Earth redo, Mary Poppins, the Main Street Theater that was announced a few years ago, even Beastly Kingdom that far back. out of these announcements, which one do you think that is in the works? He said everything's not blue sky. This is all in development. So in development still doesn't mean they're building it. It's still there. What do you think is possible to get pulled off the table?
Villains Land, unfortunately, because that's the only one we really didn't get a concrete timeline on when things were going to start.
I'm
That's
still a
what
little
the
bit
same
worried
way.
about when we see Monsters Land or Monstropolis open. I'm worried it could be well into that 4 or 5 year mark.
I agree with both of them, but I also think there's going to be delays with the DCL ships.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
I don't like, there's always, the wish didn't go out in time. I just think it'll be pushed out past 31. But I also feel, you have the port of calls and the itineraries that they have to get in line with the other cruise lines, because you can't have how many, a plethora of ships docked at one port. So they have to get the scheduling with that. So I think there might be hiccups. So I do think there's going to be delays with DCL.
They probably also are going to wait to see what the demand is for the new ships that come out too, and see, like, do we really
Right.
need 4 new ships to fill? Like, are we going to be able to fill the ones we have, let alone 4 new ones?
I mean, they could, you have the Wonder and the Magic. They're the oldest ones. They could go to dry dock and get a refurb for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could do that.
They could do that
It
with the
needs
first
it.
4 ships all together. They could pull all
Yeah.
4 ships off.
They could
Yeah.
start rotation.
Yeah.
That
I
way
do.
none of them are ever out.
Yeah, I was on the Magic in June, and it needed some love. So I still loved it, had a great time. I just, certain things just needed some updating.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with the Villains Land.
Yeah.
That
That just seems like you just take it off. No one's going to remember.
yeah,
It's like out of the way.
It's 3 years now. We've heard we're getting Villains Land. First 2 years we got the same concept art. Last year or this year we're getting new concept art, and there's still nothing solidified on what's coming. I think at this point you would at least know what your e-ticket ride is, um, what it's going to look like if it's in development. I think Micah's right. They're going to look at what Dark Universe, if that's popular over at Universal, but they can't judge it off of that because it is a darker tone than what they're going to probably bring over to Walt Disney World with the villains.
They probably also want to see, once Epic Universe opens, how much are they noticing like a decrease in people coming to Disney World? Because that's right now, a lot of people do Disney World, for 4 or 5 days, and they'll do like 1 or maybe 2 days at Universal. And now it's going to be a minimum. They'll need to do at least 4 days, and it might flip around to where people are like, okay, well, we might just go hit those certain things at Disney World and then go spend our entire week at Universal. So maybe they're waiting to see how much or how many people and stuff are they actually getting pulled away from Disney World, and do we really need to build that and open it up?
And I think that's what goes back to, I don't remember who said it, about everything going into Magic Kingdom. I think that's why everything's going into Magic Kingdom. It's their most popular park. So if you said, hey, if you're going to go to Universal for 4 days, which one of the 4 parks at Disney World are you going to go to? Naturally, it's going to be Magic Kingdom. They're going to want to make sure all those pictures are being taken and that. So yeah, that's I'm on that same justification. If it ticks toward the negative for them losing attendance at Magic Kingdom, they're going to pull out those shovels real fast. But if it kind of stays plateaued, we won't see Villains Land for a while. It'll probably be until the next expansion for Universal stuff.
And that makes me
I
sad,
wonder-
because that's the one I was so excited about, was the villain stuff too.
Oh, for sure. Are you dreaming of your next adventure, but overwhelmed by planning? Magical Travel has you covered. With over 22 years in the business, we specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, cruise vacations, and all-inclusive resort getaways. Our services are 100% complimentary when you book a vacation package with one of our knowledgeable agents. Request a free quote to start the planning process at www.magicaltravel.com. Mention our podcast to be connected with one of our agents you are listening to. So the reason we got Allison on today is she's one of our agents that has recently taken a trip to Walt Disney World, and they have changed their old Fast Pass system, old Genie Plus system, into the new Lightning Lane system, which has some of the same names that the old Genie system has. Does it confuse you yet? Because it confused a lot of people. So let's throw it to Allison and let her tell us a little bit about her experience with the Lightning Lane system.
All right, so first we'll do a general overview for anyone who is still shocked by the fact that Genie Plus is no longer. Genie Plus, ever since July 24th, is now Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Lightning Lane Single Pass. The main difference with this new system is the fact that you can pre-select 3 rides in the park that you're starting with or whichever park you're going to that day up to 7 days ahead of your visit. So this is going to be huge for on-site guests. Off-site guests can still pre-select 3 days ahead of time, and we'll get a little bit more into what that looks like later. But honestly, this new system, being able to pre-book, we really enjoyed it. My family went down the first part of August, and for on-site guests now, that 7-day window, you can also book for your entire trip up to 14 days. So if you check in on a Saturday and you're checking out that following Wednesday, 7 days before you check in on that Saturday, you can now go ahead and book for your entire trip. And it is, just the time selections you get for rides is what makes the biggest difference, because when you use your first ride, here, we'll rewind a little bit. So with the new selections that you make, once you use one, when you enter the park, you're now able to select a new one. So really at any given time, you basically have 3 rides pre-selected for your day with paying for the new Lightning Lane Multi-Pass. So you're having those first few times being early in the morning is really crucial to make sure that you can get other rides throughout the day once you get into the park. Lightning Lane Single Pass, we'll back up to that a little bit. It is what Disney previously referred to as individual Lightning Lane selection, I think. It had a really long name, but it basically did not change. But one huge perk that changed for the Lightning Lane Single Pass now is that it is flexible in the fact that if you do need to modify that time, you can. Previously, it was sort of like a movie ticket. If you booked the 10 a.m. Tron, well, then you only had 10 to 11 a.m. to use it. Now, if for some reason your breakfast reservation is running late, you can easily log back into your My Disney experience and pick another time that is available. So it's just nice not to be locked into some of those things before, especially when you're paying upwards of $20 and $25 for those single passes. So that in and of itself is a great improvement to the system. As for the multi-pass, one thing again that I'll reiterate is it is a huge perk for on-site guests now. The system prior with Genie Plus, it honestly didn't offer much benefits from being on-site to off-site, other than those individual Lightning Lane selections like Tron and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. But now you have a huge leg up. We were tracking what it looked like for 7 days out and 3 days out to try to get an idea of what that benefit was. And if you're an on-site guest, your times are able to be in the morning, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. If you're off-site and you're looking at that 3-day window, easily you are at least starting your first ride at noon, which is, in my personal opinion, not worth it at that point. If you can't get to your first Lightning Lane selection until noon or possibly later, then you're just not going to truly get your money's worth paying for that new system. So, it's just, we really like the flexibility of it, especially even though you can't stack anymore. What people referred to was stacking up Lightning Lanes for the afternoon. Now, when you select your Lightning Lane, though, you can select a later time if you wish. Yes, the earliest possible time is kind of already set, based on availability. But if you know you want to ride something at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., you can select that and start to still place out your afternoon based on availability. So a little bit more than just a summary, but that's kind of my quick take. And then we can start to bounce off from there. If y'all have any questions or questions you think people will have, we can start to talk through those. It's a lot, but the new system is, I think, more flexible, easier to understand, will be less complicated for guests traveling to Walt Disney World.
So I like how it's almost like old school fast pass where you only had 3 at any given time and you had to ride it in order to get a new one. I like that. I think it's less confusing because that whole 2-hour rule, you know, it was, if you knew how to use the system, you could stack at the end of the day, but how many people were really doing that? So I do think, you know, I ride it, I scan my magic band, I can make another one. It takes out that 2-hour worry. My thing, I don't know if you did this. So you have the boarding groups, so you have the virtual queues for Guardians and Tron. So back before they changed the system, if I didn't get, I'm always going to try for a boarding group first because it's free. So if I knew I didn't get that, I'm going to then purchase the ILL for Tron because I obviously didn't get the free boarding group. Now with this, you're needing to buy it 7 days in advance and it's non-refundable. Do I just buy Tron because I want to ride it and maybe I could ride it twice if I get the boarding group as well? It's almost like I'm forced to buy it ahead of time so I know I'm guaranteed to ride it instead of waiting the day of because it's being sold out.
Oh yeah, day of, you are probably not going to find any individual or the new name, Lightning Lane single passes are truly sold out day of for the most part. You might be able to pull an Avatar Flight of Passage possibly, but most of the others were sold out easily as soon as you log in. And that was even shown 3 days out, 2 days out. And I will say, we didn't see any difference between looking at 3 days out and 2 days out and really even day of. It definitely looked like most of that pre-planning was being done with on-site guests, and the selections for the most part stayed the same for those 2, 3 day ahead, 1 day ahead windows.
What about pricing? What was the pricing like for you? How much did it fluctuate day to day? Were you noticing that with the? I know it's more of a big deal with the Lightning Lane individual passes or single ride, whatever.
I know Magic Kingdom was 27. I think the day we arrived, it was 25. But that wasn't a day we purchased it for. So only a $2 difference really with Magic Kingdom. Animal Kingdom, 18. I want to say even Epcot was only showing 19 or 20, and then Hollywood Studios was $23. So I would say right now they're keeping the pricing similar to Genie Plus. I was worried about it going up immediately with the new launch, but right now it seems like it's kind of holding steady.
And we are getting into that time now where it's going to be like Magic Kingdom will probably be heavier flows for Thanksgiving and Christmas with the crowds. So we don't have the top out prices yet for these things. Like I know Genie Plus was closer to $40 at one point.
Yeah, I think over Christmas this year or maybe even spring break, it was like $39 a person.
Yeah,
39, I believe, is the highest it has gone to thus far.
So I'm kind of curious as to, and the positive is we can see that price now before we buy it. So it's like, okay, we know it's going to be around this price, so we can spend that much money ahead of time. One of our agents posted in our group about how much she spent for the entire week that one day, and it was some like $400 or $500 just for the multi-pass.
A family of 4.
A couple $100 for single passes. So at least it's not a sticker shock 7 a.m. Wake up call of man, I just spent $400.
Like right now, I'm out 3 weeks for pricing, so I like that I can see out that far. So I can do the math and I can see how much it's going to cost me. And so I do like the fact that they did push the calendar out at least a little bit further so we can have some budget planning
Yeah. And
before
it
we make
makes
the selections.
and being able to book it 7 days out also makes it feel like, when you get there, your trip's paid for instead of having to drop that money every single morning. So that can help like people. Can you, Allison, I don't know if you know, can you buy it with a Disney gift card? Like if people are trying to save money that way with gift cards?
Yep, you can. Same way though with mobile order, you got to make sure you kind of have, I always write my gift card numbers in my notes on my phone.
And copy
so
and paste.
Copy and paste. Yes.
Yep. So as of right now, Allison, when you're in the park and you scan into your first individual or your first multi-pass, you can modify your ones that you had your pre-select for. And as of now, you can modify to a tier 1 in any of the parks, right?
Yep. So the biggest, I'd say what I found to be the most important fact that I found was that, so when you're first selecting, all the parks have tiers, tier 1 and tier 2, except for Animal Kingdom does not have any tiers. You can select any of their rides. But so like if you can only select Frozen or Remy's at Epcot, and then you have to select, Spaceship Earth or Nemo or something, or Soarin', or actually Soarin' is a tier 1, which I find odd. But once you scan into your first ride, the system immediately allows you to modify anything you previously booked before you walked into the park that day. So that means even though you may have booked, Spaceship Earth and Finding Nemo or Nemo and Seas, that also has a long name. You can now try to modify one of those to a Remy's if you chose to book Frozen as your tier 1. You can also start to go ahead and modify those to another park if you plan to hop that day. So say you want to start at Epcot, you've got Park Hopper, you want to start at Epcot, but you want to sleep in, you're not wanting to rope drop Remy's or Frozen, you can easily book one of those for the 9 or 10 a.m. And then once you ride it, you can try to modify whatever else you had booked that day to the next park already and just enjoy your time at Epcot and start booking your next 2 and 3 rides for that next park based on availability. I think what people are seeing now is you may see that the next time is like Buzz Lightyear for 3 p.m., even at 10 a.m. in the morning. But you just, unfortunately, right now, it seems that you do have to keep, just refreshing and checking back and seeing when you get that other time. It does appear that we didn't do as much refreshing just because we had children in the party. We weren't trying to do that. But I mean, I've seen from other people using the system, almost anything they wanted, even larger rides such as Tiana's, Jungle Cruise, were coming back available. Maybe it varied on what time, but even if they showed sold out from the modify screen, if you keep refreshing, you could possibly see a time pop up. I definitely think people are going to start to get less lightning lanes with this new system, just based on, unless you were just really making it a challenge for yourself that day to try to keep refreshing and hitting all the rides. I mean, odds are maybe you should try to aim for that 6, your first 3, and then just, getting those next 3 already in place, probably for the later evening, unless you're just really wanting to mess with your phone that day.
Did you notice when you were in those lines, like in the lightning lanes, were they as busy as they used to be, or were there like the same amount of people, less people that you noticed actually in the queue?
That is a great question. I'm trying to think back. I want to say less, because obviously we did ride some rides through standby, and I feel like it really made me not upset, but I was like, almost like, gosh, I wish we did have a lightning lane for this, because I can honestly remember at least 2 rides that no one was in that lightning lane line, and it was the Speedway, which again, not popular, but again, it had a 40-minute wait when we chose to get in line for it, and Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear, I mean, just basically our line on the standby side for that particular ride was not even moving because they just kept letting every time a couple or 4 people would trickle in on the lightning lane side, they would just stop our line, and it just made it keep backing up, which that is one thing that drives me crazy. I wish cast members had clearer rules on how long to leave like the lightning lane open and when to switch over to the standby, because on some rides it just does not seem like it makes sense to never let people wait even as much as a minute or two, and to keep that standby line just at a complete standstill.
Right.
Oh, get a VIP tour, unlimited lightning lanes.
Oh, that was the one thing. So when we were there, so this was again the first week of August when that hurricane was coming through. Luckily on that Monday, we were not planning on going to a park. We had Cape May reservations, which, you know, is at Beach Club. Well, that be a popular, I don't know if guests were just choosing to be picked up there for their VIP tours or if they were guests staying at Beach or Yacht, but we saw 3 VIP tours getting ready to load into their cars when it was raining absolute cats and dogs. Like, I don't think you could have paid me to go into the park with the weather that was happening that morning. And I just like, I mean, I don't mind the rain. Y'all, this was like, you might as well just go ahead and put on your bathing suit and walk through the park because your shoes are going to be drenched unless you have covers. Like, you might as well just wear a wetsuit for the first at least 4 hours of that morning. Was an absolute washout.
But
there's a video of me. There's a video of me on a VIP tour, and it was downpouring, and I was just with my umbrella, and I'm hopping and skipping in the rain without a care in the world. You just make the best of it, and they give you ponchos, they have umbrellas, you have private transportation, you get it done, and it's still the most magical day ever.
There's not a video of me with a VIP tour doing that.
Yeah.
So when we were there in March, we saw more VIP tours, and like to the point where my husband was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I guess they're just selling more. They're becoming more popular. More people are finding, you know, they were just everywhere."
The value of them has significantly increased.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at how much like the multi-pass individual the individual lightning lanes, when you add in how much you're going to spend for a week, and you could spend that money for one day on a VIP tour and do all the things you want to do in that time, it makes more sense. And also if you have a big group of people, multiple families to be able to split it, then it makes a lot more sense for people to be able to do that, because they're already justifying spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these things. Might as well get I'm sorry. I was going to say, because you also get like snacks and stuff like that included with the VIP tour. So it also has food included that you don't get with the multi-pass and single pass.
But they do the most tours out of the value resorts than they do at moderate and deluxe, because people will spend the money on experiences over the resort.
And it makes sense. I'd rather spend money on that experience than the place that you're just laying your head down at night or swimming in a pool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Although when I picture a resort day, though, man, my mind goes to Beach Club, Animal Kingdom, like those
the Riviera,
Boardwalk. Like, those are just the places that I want to spend a whole day if I have it not inside the park.
I did have one thing to add, or maybe ask if you think this is right, Allison, about the lightning lane system. I did see on some of the Facebook groups and have seen people like writing, since Animal Kingdom is the cheapest one to get, and also the park opens the earliest, some people were getting their multi-pass for Animal Kingdom. They would get there early and scan into their first ride, and then modifying their stuff for the other parks that hadn't even opened yet. And they were getting kind of those first grabs on those things for that day, to like if they're going to hop to Epcot or Hollywood Studios, they were modifying, say, their Dinosaur Lightning Lane or their Navi River Journey to go to these other parks and kind of get it before the other people had even scanned into their first lightning lanes in those parks, because they hadn't opened yet.
Yeah, I think that this is just not a great strategy. So the pricing is based on you're paying really for what you want those that pre-selection for. You know, like you're paying, what do you want to be able to pick those best times for? So if you're doing Animal Kingdom to save you maybe $10 on Magic Kingdom, all you're doing is putting more stress on yourself that day of to now try and refresh and hope you can get, you know, Tiana's to come back at a time you want for, you know, Pirates or Jungle Cruise. And so although, yes, I think this change has shocked people a little bit, that now you can pay for a cheaper park and hop to another one if you have the park hoppers.
Yeah.
But I think at first people started to overthink it, because yes, this crossed my mind too. Like, wait, so you tell me I can pay for Animal Kingdom and then use it at Magic Kingdom? Like, it was a little bit, you know, tried to wrap my brain around it. But now that it's been in place, it truly is, though, you're not getting that benefit anymore. And that's what the cost is tied back to. The cost is tied back to the value of you being able to 7, 8, 9 days ahead for your trip, now be able to pick the exact times you want. You know, and I just think for $10 savings, $8 savings, it's not worth it.
And you got to think too about transportation. Like if you're staying on site and you're going to Animal Kingdom first, taking a bus from Animal Kingdom to Magic Kingdom, you're losing a good 30 minutes to an hour on a bus.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I think you're better off still paying for, say we'll just use Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom still as the example. I think you're still better off pre-selecting at Magic Kingdom if you want to maybe hop there mid-morning, rope dropping at Animal Kingdom because you know you can get on those rides. And just knowing that when you walk into Magic Kingdom, no matter how busy it is, you walk in there with those pre-selected top tier rides, most likely, that are going to kickstart your day. And then everything on top is really just extra.
Do we think that Disney is going to change it where you can't modify to tier 1s from those tier 2s? Do you think they're going to change that to where you can't have Buzz Lightyear and then be like, oh, I'm going to do that to this other ride?
I don't think it's going to be coming anytime soon, because if you talk to anyone who handles apps and codes and figuring out all of that, it would be a whole infrastructure change to make the system smart enough to realize that. It must let you do that because the system knows that once you're in the park, that you now can just modify and in general, you know, no tiers at all, even if you were staying in that park or whatnot. So it's like they've just kind of let it go that your pre-selections are roped into that. I don't know what it would take for them to pay someone to redo the app to try to lock in those first 2 selections, but still allow you to modify them, if that makes sense. Because this is another thing that we learned. So same thing, kind of in reverse, that will maybe a hindrance, is the multi-experience pass. If you had a tier 1, say you have Slinky Dog booked and it goes down, well, you know, now it's a multi-experience pass, but those, just like before, can only be used on select experiences. So although you can always hold on to it, and it's always good at Slinky Dog because that's the one it was booked for, you cannot use it on a separate tier 1. So you couldn't take that and then ride, trying to think what the other ones in Hollywood Studios are, but like the top one still wouldn't be listed for that park. So it's, like I said, I think it's the way that just it has to work for right now. They haven't gone into making the app that smart and, you know, to weed out some of those things.
Because is it smart enough, if I think from the, like, seeing what people have said online, if you have dining booked, it's helping pick times around your dining and not overlapping with your dining?
Yes, and so this is another thing I forgot to mention. So one thing that threw me off, when you log in to book for that day, it automatically tries to space them out an hour ahead of time, and it already gives you times. So, you know, we knew going into this, we would be able to select our time. So it threw me off when I'm checking, you know, I'm checking Frozen and then Spaceship Earth and Nemo and Friends, that then it was all of a sudden telling me 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I'm thinking, oh, I don't want those stacked up 3 hours apart. Like, I want those early as I can. From that screen, you can click modify and you can move them in, but they're going to try to space them out for you. And yes, if you have dining, it's going to try to not book anything in that window. For the most part, you can still try to modify it around your dining, but there are some limitations where if it's too close, it won't even let you select it. So say you're trying to refresh for a frozen and a time pops up for 12 p.m., but you have Via Napoli booked at 12:15, it will not let you. It's going to say, I'm sorry, you are too close to your other experience. And like, it's not even going to give you the option. So that kind of stinks, because then you thought you got it. You saw it pop up on the refreshing board, and then it's going to say, no, just kidding. You have something else booked at this time. Oh, and another tip I've learned. Sorry, I feel like I should have wrote out more, but I keep thinking of them as we're kind of talking through. So this is something that also I learned after the fact, but it makes a lot of sense. On your booking on your booking screen, it's going to hold your selections for 5 minutes. So you may be booking 7 days out or even further if you have more days on site. And you may still, for some reason, on one day see that the times it's given you at the earliest are 10:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. Well, it's because everyone's on the system right then. What you need to do is keep your earliest times that you can find. Go ahead, check out, wait until about 7:30 or so when everyone has gotten off the system. And I've heard that earlier times are then available, because between 7 and 7:05, everyone's trying to pick those earliest times, and they may switch back and forth. And so you're actually better off to just go ahead, check out with the earliest times, and log back in a few minutes later to modify, because other things may already appear in that amount of time.
And you have to book 1 day at a time, check out. 1 day at a time, check out.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
All right, that's some good information. Okay, so Rachel, let's go over this Universal promo right quick.
So Universal Studios Orlando Resort has a new dining card promo, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It is valid on 4 or 5 night stays, and then the amount of the dining card depends on how many nights and what resort you're staying at. So the max card you can get valued at is $1,000. That is if you're staying 5 nights or longer at one of the premier resorts. That would be Loews Portofino Bay, Hard Rock Hotel, or Loews Royal Pacific. Then it goes down. The lowest amount you can get is $300 on a 4-night stay at Endless Summer Resort Surfside Inn or Endless Summer Resort Dockside Inn. So minimum 4-night stay, $300. You do have to have, though, a 4 or 5 park ticket, either a 2 park or a 3 park. So, but it has to be 4 or 5 days.
When's it valid for?
It is valid for the travel window is November 7th through April 10th. There are blockout dates, which is December 20th, 2024 to January 4th, 2025. So they're blocking off Christmas. But I think it's, free minimum $300 per room. I think that's great.
Yeah. Food.
Yeah.
Awesome. I can eat. Well, that's going to do it today for our episode. We want to thank Allison for joining us and all her information on the Lightning Lane system. Allison, how can people get a hold of you if they want to book a Disney, Universal, or other travel with you?
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I had so much fun today, but people can always email me, I would say is the best way to reach out. It's allison@magicaltravel.com, or I also have a Facebook page, Allison Hobbs Magical Travel, and my Instagram that I especially keep up to date when I'm traveling in the parks, and it's just at Allison_Magical Travel. So especially if you like following for park content, you can always find me on social media.
And you can find the rest of us over at magicaltravel.com. And any of our great agents are willing to help you. If you have time, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Tell us what you want to hear. On the next episode, we think we're going to be talking about the not so scary Halloween party at Walt Disney World. Have safe travels, and we'll see you on the next episode.